We're at the office doing a chimney repair. Anyways, I'm here to talk to you about chimneys, right? Most homeowners aren't going to jump up there and fix their own chimney, so I don't know that this is one of those DIY videos. But what it is I'm going to educate you on what happens to your chimneys, why your chimney's leaking, why it's falling apart, what's going on, and what to look out for when you're hiring someone to fix it. So, not 95% or more of the time that I get called out to a chimney job, the part of the chimney that's failing is the very top. It's called a crown. It's a layer of plaster. It's pitched down so the water can run off it, so the chimney won't collect water. Over time, it deteriorates and cracks around the flue liner, maybe cracks in a couple other spots, takes in water. Wintertime comes, freezes, thaws, expands, and starts making more cracks and bigger cracks, and then it starts taking water in. A lot of homeowners will call a roofer when their chimney's leaking water into the attic, right? And I'm not saying that's the wrong move, but most of the time it's not the flashing, it's not the roof line. Some of the times it is. I'll tell you how to decide whether it is or isn't and who you should call. But a good roofer will look at it and tell you need to call a mason. Or if it is the flashing, he can take care of that. The two ways to tell. Your chimney comes out over your roof line, and you'll see the roof line going into it, right? And if you have damage from the roof line down, but the top is okay, then your problem is within the gutters or the counter flashing. If you see damage over that roof line and up to the top of the chimney, or from the top all the way down, your problem is your crown, probably. I mean, 99.9% certainty it's the crown of the chimney, right? And the purpose of the video is I'm just going to educate you on that, and so when you do hire a contractor, you know what you're getting. The crown has to be addressed, you know, if you have an old house, I mean, not even old, but any 20, 30 years old, you get the top of that chimney checked, because if there's cracks in it and you can stop it early, you'd be saving yourself a lot of money. So the eventuality is the chimney will start to lean towards the house, and when it starts to lean, there's no saving it. The whole lean has to get ripped off. It has to get rebuilt. Now you're at, $7 to $10 or more $1,000 repair, right? So anyways, I'm going to show you this chimney, and I want to tell you, if you hire if you ask the roofer to come out and take a look, typically they'll fix the flashing and goop a bunch of crap on the top of the chimney. And it's not that the crap is bad, it's just that the chimney's deteriorating, so it's not going to bond to it. You're going to pay him, and then you're going to be right back at square one 2 years later, and hopefully it doesn't lean by then, because then if you didn't get it done right the first time, you're in for a much bigger repair. Me personally, I like to take off everything bad at the top, form out a nice concrete cap, and I pour a nice piece of concrete on there. Nice formed, overhanging, looks great, and it's indestructible. And I'll do that. I'll use them. I'll get them anywhere from a minimal of 3 inches thick to 6 inches thick, depending on what fits the look of the chimney, right? So anyhow, I'll show you what's going on here on this chimney. We got the scaffolding built already. That's the chimney, and you can see all the cracking at the top. Now, I'm not sure if you can see it on this shot, but I'm going to bring the camera up there and really give you some close-ups. But this chimney's not going to get the full plaster. I mean, there's some cracks going down it, but nothing is really falling apart. It's all contraction crack. So if we take care of the top, we're going to caulk up those cracks, and we're going to hit this with a flexible masonry paint. We already power washed it to get any loose aggregate off of the plaster coat, make sure we get a good bond with the paint, and it's worth a try. I don't think it's going to go anywhere after that, and that's my opinion. We're going to save the church a little money. I'm going to put a nice overhang on the cap. So in the event, if maybe years down the road they decide they want to get it plastered, the cap is overhanging enough that we can plaster it, and it still has some overhang, still looks attractive. So anyhow, with that all being said, I'm going to take the camera up there and we're going to talk about the chimney a little bit. All right, here we are, top of the chimney. That's the problem. See it right there? I'll fit a fingertip under there, right? It starts cracking. Here, let's see if I can get the... You see it starts cracking around the flue liner. Boom, boom, boom. All of that. It's just taking water in the top. So, you see all this stuff here? Like, it's just destroying this cap, right? Now, we're going to leave, there's 4 courses of brick on this. We're going to leave these 2 courses, these bottom courses. We're going to remove everything, these 2 courses, and the top. We're going to remove all that. I'm going to brace this around with a 2x4 because that's going to be part of my concrete form. After we're done pouring the concrete and everything's locked in place, we're going to take all these joints out of this remaining brick and repoint it. Now, you look at the rest of this stuff, right? So, you know, you could tap your chimney around and see on this one there's no loose plaster. There are contraction cracks, but nothing's loose. And you can see, you know, you look down there, you can see the problem is higher than the roof line. So that's what I'm talking about. That's how I knew it was the cap. I didn't even have to climb down here to give them climb up here and give them a price. You know, I can see that from down on the ground. So we're gonna pour top on this, and I'll give you, you know, I'll make a quick video showing you how that's done. But again, this isn't really a DIY video. I don't see any homeowners building this rig, you know, and dangling out on that steep roof to do their chimney. Anyhow, also, you know what, matter of fact, let me secure this camera. Come on down here and I'll talk with you a little bit about the counter flashing. I got a quick rig over here because we're not doing anything major, right? So you'll see, you know, you look at your counter flashing here, right? That's this white aluminum right down here. Now this is cut into the chimney, right? They cut a line here, they bent this flashing, they tucked it in, they caulked the top. That's a proper flashing. It could be a little bit better, but at least it's cut in. I'll address all that while I'm up here. That's a bad corner. Whatever. I'll address all that while I'm up here, caulk it up a little bit, you know, fix all this stuff. But if the problem is at the roof line and below, then you want to start looking at this stuff. You know, my shingles, my counter flashing, my gutters, or my gutters clogged and dumping off into the onto the chimney, and it's just getting waterlogged and beat up. You know, that'll just destroy the whole chimney. So we just did one that was like that. Because believe it or not, they pitched the gutter the wrong way. So anyhow, you see the contraction cracks really stop a little higher than the roof line, right? But you know, again, this is still plumb, everything's still in place. We'll give it the quicker job. All right, a couple things I want to add to that video. As you saw, we opted for the less expensive repair. Everything's pretty much in place. The chimney's still straight. There are contraction cracks, but none of the plaster's loose. However, if your plaster's loose, you need the full job. And if you have a contractor out there that's telling you something different, move on to the next guy. If your plaster is loose or it has hollow spots behind it, the body of the chimney needs the entire job, which is covered entirely in wire lath anchored to it, 2 coats of plaster. The 2 coats of plaster must be done at separate times to allow for curing in between. Rule of thumb, 5 to 7 days in between, and then your finish coat. Now, whatever that's going to be, whether you want stucco, Parex, drive it, thin veneer stone, whatever it is, you need 2 coats of plaster and then your finish coat. So you're looking for a poured concrete top, or I mean, you could get flagstone, but flagstone will have to be one piece. If you get a segmented piece, 4 pieces of flagstone up there, miter cut, if they sell you on that, it's not a good idea. Okay, because it's already segmented. So if the chimney's already in motion, it's just going to crack right in between those segments. I always go with the poured concrete top for a repair like this. So those are things to keep in mind when you're hiring a contractor, because I can't tell you how many people, how many homeowners have called me up and told me, we had this guy out here last year and he went up there and, he put some stuff up there and like, now it's cracking again because it needed the whole job. If it's loose, it needs the whole job. If it's bent, it needs to come down at the start of the bend and be rebuilt. And that's the facts.